Good morning. I'm Barbara McGinnis with McGinnis Elder Care Law, and today I'm going to talk briefly about irrevocable trust. Sometimes we call them irrevocable trusts, but the point is, it's a trust designed to be not changeable, not easily changeable anyway. The most important thing to understand when you're creating a trust is what is the purpose? Why do I want this trust? What's it going to do for me? A lot of times people will choose to use a trust in estate planning to avoid probate, to make management of assets easier, sometimes for special need purposes, to protect for public benefits. Usually when we're adding an irrevocable trust to an estate plan, the purpose is creditor protection, and quite often the asset protection long range as we're anticipating long-term healthcare expenditures. And we're trying to preserve assets either for a surviving spouse, a special need child, family inheritance. It could be many reasons that are unique to your individual family. The thing to think about a trust is like a basket, or in this case, a bowl. So once we create the vessel to hold the assets, we know that there are going to be assets that are going to go into or be titled to the trust. And these assets belong to the grantor, the person that's granting the asset to the trust. They own these assets. It could be money, it could be investments, stocks, it could be real estate, depending on, again, the individual and the purpose of the trust. So once the trust is fully funded, all the assets we intend to put or title to this trust are now in the trust. We assume that trust funding has been completed with an irrevocable trust, and we're done funding this trust. Now, trust asset management. Who's taking care of the assets inside of the trust? That's the trustee's job. They're responsible for investment. They're responsible for distribution. So distribution is how the assets come back out of the trust for utilization purposes. The trust document itself will guide under what circumstance can that trustee, the asset manager, distribute, take an asset out of the trust, to whom? Whom is it supposed to benefit? Obviously, those people we call beneficiaries. The trust document itself names the beneficiaries. It might be the grantor, probably not with an irrevocable trust, probably children or issue of the grantors. So the trust tells you not only who was the grantor, who owned it originally, who's going to be the manager of the assets, what their responsibilities are, and then under what circumstances and to who can we benefit these assets for, the beneficiaries. So ideally, then, the purpose of an irrevocable trust would be to have this nice, safe basket container holding our assets that can be used for family benefit. And whether it's the Veterans Administration or whether it's TennCare, they can know about this, but they can't touch this. So that's part of the purpose usually for an asset protection type trust. How long does a trust last? Again, that's going to go back to the terms of the trust. Under what circumstances would the trust be terminated? The trust usually has its own tax ID number. That's like getting a Social Security number because it's a taxable entity in most circumstances and has to have a tax return filed each year. That's part of the duties of the trustee. And again, I would use professionals, just like you used a professional to help you establish that trust and create the trust for particular purposes. You're probably going to use advisors like financial advisors to help you manage those assets, and a certified public accountant for tax return purposes. So that's kind of what you need to know about irrevocable trusts in a nutshell. I'm Barbara McGinnis for Take Us McGinnis Elder Care Law.